The Galactic Council had ruled the known universe for 3,000 years. Their chrome towers stretched across the capital world of Zenthari Prime, gleaming monuments to order and logic. In the highest spire, Ambassador Krixvoth adjusted his ceremonial robes and prepared to address the emergency session. The holographic displays showed Earth in vivid detail. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. Such a small, insignificant world on the outer rim of the galaxy. Yet somehow this tiny planet had managed to destroy an entire hegemony fleet in under 6 hours. Impossible, muttered Ambassador Thelnara, her crystalline features reflecting the light. Our intelligence reports were clear. Earth's military consists entirely of males. Aggressive, yes, but predictable. We've dealt with warrior species before. Krixvoth nodded slowly. Every civilized species in the galaxy followed the same pattern. Males fought wars while females managed domestic affairs. It was the natural order, proven across 10,000 worlds. The hegemony had built their entire military doctrine around this simple truth. Perhaps their males are more capable than we estimated, suggested General Vorax. His scaled hide scarred from countless battles. The destruction of Admiral Zenth's fleet was thorough. The holographic recording played again. 37 hegemony warships, each the size of a small city, had approached Earth with standard intimidation protocols. They expected quick surrender, followed by planetary occupation and resource extraction. Instead, they found something that defied all logic. Earth's defense ships were smaller, faster, and commanded with a tactical brilliance that stunned even veteran military analysts. The human vessels moved like dancers, anticipating every hegemony attack pattern with impossible precision. Within hours, the mighty fleet was scattered debris floating in the void. We underestimated their technology, Krixvoth declared. Clearly, these humans have developed something beyond our understanding. Their weapons, their ships, their strategy. But deep in the Council archives, a junior analyst named Yira Kess was discovering something far more disturbing. Her 6 eyes scanned through intercepted human communications, piecing together fragments of data that made no sense according to everything the galaxy believed about civilization. The human military wasn't just male. In fact, many of their most decorated officers, their most brilliant strategists, their most feared warriors were female. The very concept seemed absurd to Yira Kess. How could any species function with females in combat roles? Yet the evidence was undeniable. Admiral Sarah Chen had commanded the defense fleet. Colonel Maria Vasquez had led the fighter squadrons. Captain Lisa Thompson had coordinated the devastating counterattack that crippled the hegemony flagship. All females. All deadly. Yira Kess felt her worldview cracking. Every species she knew kept females safe in protected roles. They were too valuable, too essential for reproduction and nurturing to risk in combat. The idea of female warriors was not just foreign, it was terrifying. She tried to rationalize it. Perhaps these were genetic anomalies, males who appeared female, or maybe Earth had developed advanced gender-changing technology. But the deeper she dug, the more horrifying the truth became. Earth's females weren't just fighting. They were excelling. Their military academies showed equal enrollment between genders. Their special forces units included female operatives who surpassed male counterparts in various specializations. Their space program featured female astronauts, engineers, and mission commanders. Most shocking of all, human females could fight while pregnant, give birth, and return to combat within months. They balanced warfare with child-rearing as if it were perfectly natural. The concept was so alien that Yira Kess felt physically ill. Meanwhile, in the council chamber, the debate continued. Ambassador Krixvoth was already planning the next phase of contact. Perhaps diplomatic outreach would succeed where military force had failed. The humans had proven they could defend themselves, but surely they would welcome trade and cultural exchange with the galactic community. We should approach them as equals, suggested Ambassador Thelnara. They've earned that right through combat. Send a diplomatic vessel with our finest negotiators. Agreed, Krixvoth replied. But we must be careful. These humans are clearly more dangerous than any species we've encountered. Their males fight with unprecedented skill and coordination. General Vorax rumbled his approval. At least we know what we're dealing with now. Male warriors, highly trained and well-equipped. We can adapt our strategies accordingly. If only they knew the truth. If only they understood that what terrified them most wasn't what they had seen, but what they hadn't yet discovered. Earth's secret weapon wasn't technology or tactics or superior training. It was something far more fundamental, something that would shatter every assumption the galaxy held about civilization itself. The hegemony had faced Earth's military and been destroyed, but they had only encountered a fraction of humanity's true potential. Yerikes closed her research files, her hands trembling. She should report her findings immediately. The council needed to know that their basic understanding of gender roles was completely wrong, at least where humans were concerned. But something held her back. A growing suspicion that this knowledge was dangerous, that revealing it might trigger something far worse than a military defeat. The galaxy wasn't ready to learn that everything they believed about the natural order was an illusion. On Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen reviewed the battle reports with satisfaction. The alien fleet had been powerful but predictable. Their tactics were centuries out of date, based on rigid hierarchies and conventional thinking. It had been almost too easy. She thought about her daughter, currently training at the Naval Academy. The girl showed promise just like her grandmother had during the Mars colony's conflict. 3 generations of warriors, each one deadlier than the last. The aliens would be back, of course, probably with diplomats next time. Trying to understand what they had faced, Sarah almost felt sorry for them. They had no idea what was coming, because Earth's women were just getting started. The diplomatic vessel Harmonious Convergence approached Earth's solar system with careful precision. Ambassador Zara Quinn had been chosen specifically for this mission. She was considered the galaxy's finest negotiator, with a track record of successful first contacts spanning 2 centuries. Her team consisted of the Council's most experienced diplomats, linguists, and cultural analysts. They had studied every available fragment of human communication, preparing for what they assumed would be standard diplomatic protocols with a warrior-dominated species. Remember, Zara Quinn addressed her staff, we're dealing with an extremely militaristic culture. Their males have proven exceptionally violent and unpredictable. We must approach them with both respect and caution. The ship's sensors detected Earth's defensive perimeter long before visual contact. Orbital platforms, patrol ships, and what appeared to be massive weapons arrays pointed outward toward potential threats. The humans had clearly learned from the recent conflict. Incoming transmission, announced Communications Officer Velthar. They're requesting our intentions and offering escort to a designated meeting zone. The voice that came through the speakers was crisp, professional, and unmistakably female. Zara Quinn frowned slightly. Perhaps it was a translator malfunction, or maybe human males had higher vocal ranges than other species. This is Captain Rachel Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. Please state your business in our system. Zara Quinn activated the response channel. Greetings, Captain Morrison. I am Ambassador Zara Quinn of the Galactic Council. We come seeking peaceful dialogue and cultural exchange. There was a pause before the response. Understood, Ambassador. You'll be escorted to Luna Station for preliminary discussions. Please follow the designated flight path exactly. Any deviation will be considered hostile. As they approached the moon, Zara Quinn was impressed by the sophistication of human engineering. Luna Station was a marvel of efficiency and defensive capability, clearly designed by minds that understood both architecture and warfare. The docking procedures were flawless, and within hours the diplomatic team found themselves in a pristine conference room overlooking Earth's blue marble surface. They waited with the patience of professional negotiators, reviewing their notes and preparing for what they expected would be tense but productive discussions. When the doors opened, Zara Quinn's prepared greeting died in her throat. The human delegation was led by Secretary of State Patricia Williams, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. She was flanked by General Angela Rodriguez, Admiral Susan Clark, and Ambassador Michelle Thompson, all female, all clearly in positions of ultimate authority. Welcome to Luna Station, Secretary Williams said, taking her seat across from the stunned alien delegation. I understand you represent something called the Galactic Council? Zara Quinn struggled to process what she was seeing. In 3,000 years of diplomatic service, she had never encountered females in leadership roles during first contact. Every civilized species protected their females, keeping them safely away from potentially dangerous foreign interactions. Yes, Zara Quinn managed. Forgive me, but are you authorized to negotiate on behalf of your government? Secretary Williams raised an eyebrow. I am the Secretary of State of the United Earth Government. Foreign policy is literally my job description. Are you authorized to negotiate on behalf of yours? Behind Zara Quinn, cultural analyst Nix Varen was frantically taking notes. This was unprecedented. Not only were human females present at the negotiations, they were clearly the ones in charge. The male humans in the room appeared to be subordinates, advisors, technical specialists. Perhaps we should start with basic cultural exchange, Admiral Clark suggested, studying the aliens with professional interest. You seem surprised by our delegation. Is there something unusual about our representation? Well, Zara Quinn said carefully, in our experience, females typically handle domestic affairs while males manage military and diplomatic matters. It's the natural order across all known civilizations. The silence that followed was profound. The human women exchanged glances that spoke volumes, and Zara Quinn realized she had made a serious diplomatic error. I see, Secretary Williams said slowly, and this natural order is why your military fleet attacked our system without provocation. That was a misunderstanding, Zara Quinn protested. The hegemony faction believed Earth posed a threat. They were clearly wrong about your capabilities. General Rodriguez leaned forward, her scarred hands folded on the table. Let me make sure I understand your perspective. You believed our military consisted only of males, and therefore assumed we would be easy to defeat? Male-dominated militaries follow predictable patterns, Zara Quinn explained, feeling increasingly uncomfortable. We have extensive experience with warrior cultures, but your tactics, your coordination, your strategic thinking, it defied all our models. Admiral Clark smiled, and it wasn't entirely friendly. That's because our military isn't male-dominated. Women make up 47% of our armed forces, including 60% of our strategic command positions. The alien delegation sat in stunned silence. Nix Varen's note-taking device clattered to the floor, forgotten. Impossible, whispered Dr. Yexora, the team's xenobiologist. Females cannot function in high-stress combat situations. They lack the necessary aggressive instincts. It's a biological fact across all species, is it? Secretary Williams asked mildly. Tell me, Dr. Yexora, do you have children? Of course. 3 offspring, all properly raised by my mate in our domestic pod. And if someone threatened those children, what would you do? I would... Dr. Yexora paused, her 6 eyes blinking rapidly. I would defend them. But that's different. That's maternal instinct, not military aggression. Human females possess both, General Rodriguez said quietly. We call it protective fury, and there's nothing in the universe more dangerous than a mother defending her young. Ambassador Michelle Thompson activated a holographic display showing Earth's military academies. 23% of our top graduates are mothers. They balance family responsibilities with military service. Many of our most decorated Special Forces operatives are women who have given birth multiple times. The concept was so alien that several delegates began showing signs of physical distress. In their societies, pregnancy meant retirement from any dangerous activities for the protection of both mother and child. How do you maintain unit cohesion? Demanded military advisor Kefthul. Mixed gender forces inevitably break down due to mating conflicts and protective behaviors. Admiral Clark laughed. We've been operating integrated forces for over a century. Our soldiers are professionals first, regardless of gender. They train together, fight together, and die together if necessary. Secretary Williams stood, walking to the window overlooking Earth. You came here expecting to negotiate with a predictable warrior culture. Instead, you've discovered something that challenges your fundamental understanding of civilization itself. She turned back to face the delegation. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Zara Quinn realized they were at a crossroads. Everything the Galactic Council believed about social organization, military doctrine, and species development was wrong. At least where humans were concerned. We need time to process this information, she said finally. Our preliminary reports to the Council will need to be comprehensive. Take all the time you need, Secretary Williams replied. But understand that Earth's position in any future relationship will be based on mutual respect and equality. We won't accept second-class status because of your misconceptions about gender roles. As the alien delegation prepared to leave Luna Station, each member wrestled with the implications of what they had learned. The galaxy's oldest and most fundamental social structures were being challenged by a single small planet on the rim. But they had no idea that this was only the beginning. Earth's women had revealed themselves as equals to their male counterparts in warfare and diplomacy. What the aliens hadn't yet discovered was that in many areas, the women were significantly more dangerous. The real shock was still coming. The emergency session of the Galactic Council lasted 3 days. Ambassador Zara Quinn's report had sent shockwaves through every level of galactic government, from the lowest administrative clerks to the highest ruling families. "This is madness," declared High Counselor Vex Theron, his tentacles writhing with agitation. "A species that sends females into combat? It violates every principle of biological preservation." Around the vast circular chamber, representatives from hundreds of worlds struggled to comprehend the implications. The Galactic Council had maintained peace for millennia, based on predictable social structures. Every species followed the same basic pattern. Males competed for resources and territory. Females nurtured offspring and maintained domestic stability. "Perhaps it's a cultural aberration," suggested Counselor Melvara from the Tridian Collective, "a temporary phase in their development. Young species often experiment with unconventional social structures before maturing into proper civilizations." But Yura Kess, the junior analyst who had first uncovered the truth about human gender roles, stood to address the council. Her research had expanded far beyond the initial military data, revealing something even more disturbing. "Honored counselors," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "Human female involvement in warfare is not an aberration. It's systematic, institutional, and apparently permanent. But that's not the worst part." The chamber fell silent. Yura Kess activated her holographic displays, showing decades of intercepted human communications, cultural broadcasts, and educational materials. Human females don't just participate in military activities. They excel in areas we consider exclusively male domains: scientific research, technological development, space exploration, corporate leadership, political governance. In every field, human females perform at levels equal to or exceeding their male counterparts. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Finally, High Counselor Vex Theron spoke. "That's impossible. Females lack the aggressive competitive drive necessary for leadership. It's a biological constant across all known species." "Not among humans," Yura Kess replied. "Their educational institutions show no gender segregation. Their research facilities employ females at all levels. Their space program features female astronauts, engineers, and mission commanders working alongside males as equals." She highlighted specific examples. Dr. Sarah Patterson led the team that developed their faster-than-light communication system. Admiral Jennifer Walsh commands their deep space exploration fleet. President Elena Vasquez governs their entire planet. The chamber erupted in confused discussions. Representatives whispered frantically among themselves, trying to reconcile this information with their understanding of natural law. "There must be some explanation," insisted General Kraf Zun of the Military Council. "Perhaps their males are defective, forcing females to adopt unnatural roles. Or maybe they practice artificial gender modification." But even as the council debated, intelligence reports were flooding in from observation posts throughout the galaxy. Earth's expansion into interstellar space was accelerating at an unprecedented rate, and the pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. Human colony ships carried mixed crews with female captains, engineers, and scientists. Their mining operations included female supervisors and heavy equipment operators. Their trade vessels featured female merchants and negotiators who drove deals that impressed even veteran galactic traders. Most shocking of all, human military installations throughout their expanding territory showed the same pattern of integrated command structures. Female officers led male subordinates without apparent conflict, while male commanders worked under female superiors with equal efficiency. "We need to send a larger diplomatic mission," declared Ambassador Zara Quinn. "We must understand how their society functions without descending into chaos." The council approved an unprecedented cultural exchange program. 24 specialists would travel to Earth for extended observation, studying human social structures from within their society. Dr. Plixshan, the galaxy's leading expert on social development, volunteered to lead the mission. She had spent centuries studying the evolution of civilizations, documenting the universal constants that governed all intelligent species. "I will prove that these humans are an anomaly," she declared. "Every species follows the same developmental path. There must be hidden factors we haven't discovered yet. 6 months later, Dr. Plix-Shan found herself in the cafeteria of Harvard University, surrounded by young human minds that defied everything she thought she knew about intellectual development. The students around her represented both genders, engaged in complex discussions about quantum physics, bioengineering, political theory, and military strategy. Female students debated aggressively with male counterparts, challenging ideas and proposing solutions with intellectual confidence that seemed natural and unforced. Dr. Plix-Shan called out Jennifer Chen, a 20-year-old studying both mechanical engineering and military tactics. "We were wondering if you could tell us about educational systems in your culture." The alien professor struggled to explain concepts that suddenly seemed primitive. How could she describe a society where females were educated only in domestic arts, while males monopolized technical and military training? "In most galactic civilizations," she said carefully, "educational specialization begins early. Males focus on competitive and technical subjects, while females concentrate on nurturing and social skills." "That seems incredibly wasteful," observed Marcus Thompson, a male student majoring in childhood education. "You'd be eliminating half your potential talent in every field." Dr. Plix-Shan blinked her 4 eyes rapidly. The human male was studying to care for children, a profession reserved exclusively for females in every civilized society. Yet he spoke about it with passion and expertise that impressed his female classmates. "But how do you maintain social stability?" she asked. "If both genders compete for the same positions, doesn't that create conflict?" Jennifer laughed. "Competition makes us better. My study group includes 3 other engineering students, 2 males and 1 female. We push each other to achieve higher standards." "And what about family responsibilities?" Dr. Plix-Shan pressed. "How do females balance career demands with child rearing?" "Same way males do," replied Sarah Williams, a pre-med student who was also a member of the university's elite military training program. "You prioritize delegate and make it work. My mom is a Navy pilot with 3 kids. My dad is a nurse who stayed home with us when we were young. Families adapt." The casual acceptance of role flexibility was staggering. Dr. Plix-Shan realized she was witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that had transcended biological determinism to create truly egalitarian societies, but her research was about to uncover something even more remarkable. As she delved deeper into human culture, she discovered that their greatest achievements often came from collaboration between genders, not competition. The team that had developed humanity's breakthrough terraforming technology included both male and female scientists working as intellectual equals. Their most successful military campaigns combined male strategic thinking with female tactical innovation. Their finest artistic achievements merged masculine and feminine perspectives into something greater than either could achieve alone. Dr. Plix-Shan's preliminary report sent shockwaves through the galactic academic community. Everything they understood about civilization was wrong. The universal constants weren't universal at all. But the most terrifying realization was yet to come. If human females could match males in every field while also bearing and raising children, what did that say about their total potential? What could a species achieve when it utilized 100% of its intellectual and creative capacity instead of the 50% that every other civilization considered natural? The answer to that question would reshape the galaxy forever, because Earth's women weren't just equal to their male counterparts. In many crucial areas, they were about to prove they were superior. The breakthrough came during what humans called the Kepler crisis. 3 hegemony battle groups had surrounded the human colony on Kepler 442b, demanding surrender and threatening orbital bombardment. It was meant to be a simple show of force. The galactic powers still believed they could intimidate humanity through traditional military pressure. Admiral Sarah Chen commanded the human defense fleet from her flagship Indomitable, but she faced impossible odds. 37 human vessels against 112 alien warships, with civilian populations trapped on the surface below. What happened next would become legendary throughout the galaxy. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Lisa Park, "the aliens are broadcasting surrender demands on all frequencies. They're giving us 6 hours before they begin orbital strikes." Admiral Chen studied the tactical displays with the calm intensity that had made her famous. Around her, The bridge crew worked with seamless efficiency, a mixture of male and female officers whose coordination had been forged through years of integrated training. "Captain Morrison," she said to her tactical officer. Analysis. Rachel Morrison, now promoted to captain after her performance at Luna Station, manipulated the holographic battle space with precise gestures. Their formation is standard hegemony doctrine, designed to maximize firepower while protecting their capital ships. Very traditional, very male. "Explain," Chen requested. "Male-dominated military thinking focuses on overwhelming force and direct confrontation," Morrison explained. "They've arranged their fleet for a slugging match. Ship against ship, gun against gun. It's all about who can hit harder." Chen smiled grimly. "And what would a female commander do differently?" "Protect the children first," came the immediate response from several officers simultaneously. The aliens monitoring human communications would later describe what followed as incomprehensible tactical innovation. Instead of accepting traditional battle lines, the human fleet simply disappeared. Using advanced stealth technology that no galactic power had suspected, 37 human ships vanished from enemy sensors, but they hadn't retreated. They had repositioned themselves using what Admiral Chen called maternal tactics. "Think like a mother protecting her cubs," she had explained to her officers. "You don't fight the predator where he's strongest. You attack where he's vulnerable, and you never stop until the threat is eliminated." The hegemony commanders found themselves facing an enemy that refused to behave according to established military doctrine. Human ships appeared and vanished like ghosts, striking at supply lines, communications arrays, and isolated vessels before disappearing again. But the real innovation was coordination. While male-dominated alien fleets relied on rigid command hierarchies, the human force operated more like a family unit. Officers at every level made independent decisions based on shared objectives, supporting each other with intuitive understanding that baffled enemy analysts. "It's like they can read each other's minds," complained Hegemony Admiral Krexvorth as his fleet struggled to respond to attacks that seemed to anticipate his every move. They couldn't read minds, but they could do something almost as effective. Years of integrated training had taught human military personnel to think in terms of collective success rather than individual glory. Male and female officers supported each other's strengths and covered each other's weaknesses with seamless precision. The turning point came when Commander Maria Santos, leading a squadron of stealth fighters, realized that the alien flagship was separated from its escort fleet by a gap of exactly 14 minutes. It was a window of opportunity that traditional male tactics would have missed. Too risky, too dependent on precise timing. But maternal instincts specialized in recognizing small windows of opportunity. Santos didn't hesitate. "All ships, this is actual," she broadcast to her mixed-gender squadron. "We're going after the big fish. Follow my lead and trust your training." What followed was the most daring assault in military history. 12 small human fighters penetrated the defenses of a ship that carried more firepower than most planetary defense fleets. They moved like a pack of wolves, each pilot supporting the others while pursuing the same lethal objective. The alien flagship Hegemony's Pride had armor that could withstand conventional weapons, shields that could deflect energy attacks, and point defense systems that had never been penetrated, but it had never faced an enemy that attacked like humanity's women. "Target their sensor arrays first," Santos commanded. "Blind them, then go for propulsion. Make them helpless before you make them dead." The attack succeeded because it combined traditionally masculine aggression with traditionally feminine precision. Male pilots provided the raw courage needed for the assault, while female pilots contributed the tactical flexibility that turned courage into victory. Within 17 minutes, the mighty flagship was drifting dead in space, its command crew captured and its weapon systems neutralized. The rest of the Hegemony fleet, shocked by the impossible achievement, began a hasty retreat. But Admiral Chen wasn't finished. The maternal principle demanded complete protection of her charges, which meant ensuring the threat could never return. "All ships, pursue and engage," she ordered. "No alien vessel leaves this system operational." The resulting battle became known as the Kepler Massacre, though no human lives were lost. 112 alien warships were systematically hunted down and disabled by 37 human vessels using tactics that no galactic military academy had ever taught. The secret was multidimensional thinking. While alien commanders focused on traditional ship-to-ship combat, human forces attacked infrastructure, communications, morale, and supply lines simultaneously. They fought like mothers defending their children, utterly ruthless, completely focused, and willing to use any advantage available. But the galaxy was about to learn something even more terrifying about human women. The Kepler victory hadn't been won by human technology or superior numbers. It had been achieved through pure tactical innovation, guided by feminine strategic thinking. Dr. Plixan, still embedded with human academic institutions, was studying recorded communications from the battle when she made a discovery that chilled her to her core. The most devastating tactical innovations had come from female officers who were also mothers. Commander Santos had 3 children on Earth. Captain Morrison was pregnant during the battle. Admiral Chen had been coordinating the defense of an entire star system while planning her daughter's wedding. They had fought with the focused fury of mothers protecting their young, but they had also maintained the complex multitasking abilities that came from managing families, careers, and responsibilities simultaneously. The combination was proving devastatingly effective against traditional male military thinking. The galaxy was beginning to understand that they faced something unprecedented, a species where half the population possessed all the aggressive capabilities of traditional warriors, enhanced by the protective instincts and multidimensional thinking of mothers. But they still had no idea what was coming next. Because Earth's women were about to demonstrate that their advantages extended far beyond military tactics. They were about to revolutionize the very concept of civilization itself. The Terran economic revolution began quietly, in the trading posts and commercial centers scattered throughout human space. Galactic merchants who had come expecting to exploit a primitive new species instead found themselves outmaneuvered by negotiators who seemed to understand economics in ways that defied conventional wisdom. Merchant Prince Galactic of the Centauri Trade Consortium had been dealing with emerging species for 2 centuries. The pattern was always the same: naive populations eager to trade raw materials for manufactured goods, gradually becoming dependent on galactic commerce until they could be absorbed into the established economic hierarchy. Humans should have been no different. Their territory contained vast mineral resources, perfect agricultural worlds, and strategic locations along emerging trade routes. They were also militarily dangerous, as recent conflicts had proven, but economic dependency could neutralize that threat over time. Galactic arrived at the human trade station orbiting Proxima Centauri expecting routine negotiations. Instead, she found herself facing something unprecedented in galactic commerce. "Welcome to New Geneva Station," said Director Catherine Walsh, extending a greeting that seemed both friendly and businesslike. "I understand you're interested in establishing trade relationships with the Terran Republic." Galactic studied the human female with professional interest. In her experience, females rarely participated in serious commercial negotiations. They lacked the aggressive instincts necessary for profitable deal-making. "Indeed," Galactic replied. "The consortium has extensive experience helping developing species integrate into galactic markets. We can offer manufactured goods, advanced technology, and access to established trade networks in exchange for raw materials and agricultural products." Director Walsh smiled politely. "That's very generous. However, I should mention that we've developed our own manufacturing capabilities. Our technology levels are quite advanced, and our trade networks are expanding rapidly. Perhaps we could discuss mutually beneficial exchanges instead of a dependency relationship." The casual dismissal of standard exploitation practices caught Galactic off guard. Developing species were supposed to be eager for advanced technology, not confident in their own capabilities. "I'm sure your industries are quite impressive for a young civilization," Galactic said condescendingly. "But galactic standard manufacturing requires centuries of development. Perhaps I could tour your facilities to better understand your capabilities." What she saw during that tour shattered her understanding of economic development. Human manufacturing centers operated with an efficiency that seemed impossible for such a new species. But more shocking than their technology was their organization. Female engineers worked alongside male technicians, designing products that showed innovative thinking beyond anything in current galactic markets. Female managers coordinated complex supply chains, while balancing family responsibilities that would have prevented Galactic females from working at all. How do you maintain productivity with females in technical positions? Galactic asked Dr. Jennifer Martinez, the chief engineer, who was visibly pregnant and apparently unconcerned about working in an industrial environment. Dr. Martinez laughed. I designed most of these systems. Pregnancy doesn't affect my brain function, and we've engineered safety protocols that protect both workers and their families. Many of our best innovations come from people who understand both technical requirements and practical family needs. The concept was revolutionary. Galactic Industries operated on the assumption that technical work required complete dedication from male specialists. The idea that females could contribute technical expertise while also managing family responsibilities suggested unused potential throughout galactic civilization. But the real shock came during the economic negotiations themselves. Director Walsh and her team demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of galactic markets that rivaled traders with centuries of experience. They had analyzed trade patterns, identified market inefficiencies, and developed strategies that threatened to disrupt established commercial relationships. We've noticed that Centauri silk prices are artificially inflated due to the hegemony's monopoly on transportation, Walsh observed casually. Our ships could break that monopoly while offering better prices to both producers and consumers. Galactic felt her profits margins evaporating. The humans hadn't just analyzed galactic trade. They had identified specific opportunities to undermine existing power structures. Our agricultural exports could supply food to 17 different systems more efficiently than current distributors, added trade specialist Angela Rodriguez. We've developed preservation techniques that extend shelf life while reducing transportation costs. And our mineral extraction operations have discovered several rare elements that current galactic surveys missed, contributed resource manager Lisa Thompson. We could corner emerging markets in quantum computing components. The human negotiation team was systematically dismantling centuries of established trade practices, not through military force but through superior economic analysis. They understood market dynamics, consumer psychology, and logistical optimization in ways that suggested natural talent enhanced by innovative thinking. How did you develop such sophisticated economic understanding so quickly? Galactic asked desperately. Multitasking experience, Director Walsh replied simply. Our female executives learned to manage complex schedules, competing priorities, and resource allocation through family management. Those skills translate directly to economic planning. The revelation was staggering. While galactic civilizations had restricted half their population to domestic roles, humans had been developing economic expertise in every household. Millions of human women had been practicing resource management, strategic planning, and negotiation skills on a daily basis. But they had also learned something that galactic merchants had never mastered: long-term thinking that prioritized sustainable relationships over short-term profits. The consortium's standard contracts focus on immediate resource extraction, Walsh observed, reviewing Galactic's proposals. But sustainable trade requires development partnerships that benefit all parties over time. We're interested in relationships that will still be profitable for our great-grandchildren. The perspective was alien to galactic commerce, which traditionally operated on quick profit cycles designed to maintain economic dependency. The idea of trading partners who insisted on long-term mutual benefit threatened the entire structure of galactic economic hierarchy. Galactic left New Geneva Station with trade agreements that were far more favorable to humans than anything she had intended to offer. Worse, she realized that other merchants who tried to exploit human naivety would face the same sophisticated resistance. Her report to the Trade Consortium Council was grim. These humans possess economic capabilities that rival our most experienced traders. Their females demonstrate analytical skills that exceed our male specialists, while also maintaining family responsibilities that should prevent such professional focus. Impossible, declared consortium leader Plex Tav. Females lack the aggressive instincts necessary for profitable commerce. They're too concerned with social harmony to make difficult economic decisions. But intelligence reports were already confirming Galactic's assessment. Human trade operations throughout their expanding territory showed the same pattern of innovative thinking and long-term strategic planning. Female merchants were negotiating deals that consistently outmaneuvered experienced galactic traders. More threatening, human economic principles were beginning to spread to other species. Alien worlds that traded with humans discovered that cooperative partnerships produced better results than traditional exploitation relationships. Some were beginning to question the fundamental assumptions that had governed galactic commerce for millennia. The humans had weaponized something that galactic civilization had never considered: the untapped economic potential of half their population, enhanced by thinking patterns that prioritized sustainability over quick profits. But even this economic revolution was just the beginning. Earth's women were about to demonstrate capabilities that would fundamentally challenge the very structure of galactic civilization. Because what the galaxy had, mistaken for military and economic innovation, was actually something far more comprehensive. They were witnessing the emergence of a truly egalitarian species, one that utilized 100% of its potential instead of the 50% that every other civilization considered normal. And that difference was about to reshape everything. The Pan-Galactic Scientific Consortium's annual conference had been the premier intellectual gathering in the galaxy for 800 years. The greatest minds from thousands of species assembled to share discoveries, debate theories, and advance the frontiers of knowledge. This year's conference, held on the neutral world of Academia Prime, would be remembered as the day the galaxy's understanding of intelligence itself was shattered. Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Terran Institute stepped to the podium with quiet confidence, carrying data crystals that contained research findings which would revolutionize multiple fields of science simultaneously. Behind her, the amphitheater filled with beings representing the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. "Honored colleagues," she began, "I'm here to present collaborative research from the Terran scientific community on quantum consciousness integration and its applications to faster-than-light communication." A ripple of interest passed through the audience. Quantum consciousness had been a theoretical field for centuries, with little practical application. Most galactic scientists considered it an amusing philosophical exercise rather than serious research. Our research teams have successfully developed quantum entanglement between conscious minds across interstellar distances, Dr. Vasquez continued, activating holographic displays that showed experimental data beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Dr. Thex Vara of the Centauri Science Academy leaned forward with skepticism. "Dr. Vasquez, quantum consciousness research has been explored extensively. The mathematical requirements for practical application are impossible with current technology. With traditional approaches, yes," Dr. Vasquez agreed. "But our teams discovered that consciousness integration requires cognitive patterns that don't develop in purely male research environments." The statement sent confused murmurs through the audience. Dr. Thexvara's crystalline features reflected her confusion. "I don't understand. Research methodology doesn't vary by gender. Intelligence follows universal patterns." Dr. Vasquez smiled and activated a new series of displays. "Our breakthrough came when Dr. Sarah Chen realized that quantum consciousness mimics maternal neural bonding. The same brain patterns that allow mothers to intuitively understand their children's needs can be enhanced to create quantum entanglement between minds." The audience sat in stunned silence. Every major scientific academy in the galaxy was male-dominated, following the universal pattern that females lacked the aggressive intellectual competition necessary for advanced research, but females don't possess the abstract reasoning capabilities required for quantum physics, protested Dr. Vex Nalin from the Hegemony Institute. "It's a biological constant across all species, is it?" Dr. Vasquez asked, activating a holographic display showing the Terran research team. Half the scientists were female, including the lead researchers in quantum mechanics, consciousness studies, and interdimensional mathematics. Dr. Chen herself appeared via quantum communication link, speaking from a laboratory on Earth, while her 3-year-old daughter played quietly in the background. The breakthrough required intuitive thinking patterns that traditional male-focused research couldn't achieve, she explained. Quantum consciousness operates on principles similar to maternal bonding: understanding without explicit communication, awareness of needs before they're expressed, coordination without central control. The implications were staggering. If human females could contribute to advanced research while also maintaining family responsibilities, it suggested that galactic science had been operating at half capacity for millennia. But the presentations that followed were even more shocking. Dr. Maria Santos demonstrated breakthrough medical research that combined traditional surgical techniques with nurturing approaches that accelerated healing. Dr. Lisa Rodriguez revealed archaeological discoveries that required both analytical thinking and empathetic understanding of ancient cultures. Most revolutionary was Dr. Jennifer Walsh's presentation on terraforming technology. Traditional approaches focus on imposing suitable conditions through force, she explained. But our teams discovered that successful terraforming requires nurturing planetary ecosystems, working with natural processes rather than against them. The results spoke for themselves. Human terraforming projects achieved in decades what galactic efforts required centuries to accomplish. Their worlds were more stable, more productive, and more resistant to environmental disasters. How is this possible? Demanded Dr. Klexthon, the galaxy's leading terraforming expert. Environmental modification requires aggressive intervention and massive resource application. Male-dominated thinking, Dr. Walsh replied gently. We approach terraforming like raising children, understanding what each world needs to thrive, providing support rather than forcing change, and thinking in terms of generations rather than immediate results. The conference erupted in heated debates. Centuries of scientific doctrine were being challenged by research that combined traditionally masculine analytical thinking with traditionally feminine intuitive understanding. But the most shocking revelation came during Dr. Angela Martinez's presentation on artificial intelligence. Her team had developed AI systems that displayed creativity, empathy, and adaptive problem-solving beyond anything galactic technology had achieved. The breakthrough required understanding that intelligence isn't just computational power, she explained. True AI needs the nurturing instincts that guide child development, patience, adaptability, the ability to understand needs that aren't explicitly expressed. Her AI systems could learn and grow like children, developing personality traits and creative capabilities that purely logical systems couldn't achieve. They were artificial beings that displayed both masculine analytical abilities and feminine intuitive understanding. These AIs will revolutionize every field of science, Dr. Martinez continued. They can assist with research that requires both logical analysis and creative intuition. They understand both competition and cooperation, both aggressive investigation and patient observation. The galactic scientific community was witnessing the emergence of research methodologies that utilized 100% of intellectual potential instead of the 50% they had considered natural. Human science advanced faster because it combined male and female thinking patterns into something greater than either could achieve alone. Dr. Plikshan, who had spent months studying human society, stood to address the conference. Honored colleagues, we are witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. These humans have transcended the biological limitations that govern all other species. She activated displays showing her sociological research. Every galactic civilization restricts half its population to domestic roles, assuming that females cannot contribute to advanced knowledge. But humans have proven that assumption wrong. Their scientific achievements result from true intellectual diversity, male and female minds working together, combining analytical aggression with nurturing patience, competitive drive with cooperative understanding. The conference ended with more questions than answers. If human scientific methods were superior, what did that say about the thousands of years of galactic research that had excluded female perspectives? But the galaxy was about to discover that scientific revolution was just another facet of a more fundamental transformation. Earth's women hadn't just proven they could match male capabilities in warfare, economics, and research. They had demonstrated something far more threatening to galactic civilization, the possibility of transcending traditional limitations entirely. Because the real power of human women wasn't that they could do everything men could do, it was that they could do it all simultaneously, fighting wars while raising children, conducting research while managing families, revolutionizing economics while maintaining social stability. The galaxy was about to confront a species that operated without the limitations that every other civilization accepted as natural law. And that realization would force every advanced society to question the very foundations of their existence. 5 years after first contact, the Galactic Council faced a crisis that threatened the foundation of their 3,000-year-old civilization. The emergency session included representatives from every major power, all struggling to address what historians would later call the human problem. High Counselor Vex Tharon's tentacles writhed with visible distress as he addressed the assembly. Honored representatives, we can no longer ignore the implications of human expansion. Their influence is spreading throughout the galaxy, and traditional power structures are beginning to collapse. The evidence was undeniable. 17 different species had begun implementing human-style gender integration in their militaries after observing the devastating effectiveness of mixed gender forces. Trade relationships throughout the Outer Rim had shifted to cooperative partnerships rather than exploitative hierarchies. Scientific academies on 43 worlds had started admitting female researchers for the first time in their histories. "It's a plague," declared General Kraf Zun, his scarred hide reflecting his agitation. "They're spreading their unnatural social structures like a virus. If this continues, the very concept of civilized society will collapse." Ambassador Zara Quinn, who had led the first diplomatic mission to Earth, stood to address the council. Her months of observation had provided insights that were both fascinating and terrifying. "The humans aren't trying to convert other species," she reported. "They simply demonstrate superior results through their integrated approach to civilization. Other species are adopting human methods because they work better." She activated holographic displays showing comparative data. Human colonies were more productive, more stable, and more innovative than comparable galactic settlements. Their military forces achieved victory ratios that seemed impossible, according to traditional doctrine. Their economic systems created prosperity that benefited all participants rather than concentrating wealth among ruling elites. "But it violates the natural order," protested Counselor Melvara. "Females are biologically designed for domestic roles. Forcing them into competitive positions creates social instability." "Does it?" Zara Quinn asked, highlighting data from species that had begun experimenting with gender integration. The Andorian Republic reports a 30% increase in agricultural productivity after including females in farming operations. The Tau Ceti Confederation's scientific output has doubled since opening their research institutes to female participants. The vegan trade union's profits have increased by 40% using human-style cooperative negotiation techniques. The numbers were impossible to ignore. Every species that adopted human social structures experienced measurable improvements in multiple areas simultaneously. Dr. Plikshan, now recognized as the galaxy's leading expert on human sociology, presented her final research conclusions. "Honored counselors, we've been operating under a fundamental misunderstanding of biological potential. We assumed that gender specialization was necessary for civilized society, but humans proved that assumption wrong." Her data showed that human achievements resulted from utilizing the full spectrum of their species' capabilities. Male aggression enhanced by female cooperation, female nurturing guided by male protection, analytical thinking balanced with intuitive understanding, competition tempered by collaboration. "They don't just allow females to participate in male domains," Dr. Plikshan explained. "They create hybrid approaches that combine the strengths of both genders while minimizing their weaknesses." The revelation was disturbing because it suggested that every galactic civilization had been operating at half capacity for millennia. While they had restricted half their population to limited roles, humans had developed integrated societies that maximized the potential of every individual. But the most shocking discovery came from intelligence reports about human expansion patterns. Unlike traditional galactic powers that spread through conquest and exploitation, humans were expanding through cooperation and mutual benefit. "They're not building an empire," reported Intelligence Director Yex Krill. "They're creating a network of voluntary partnerships. Species join human-led coalitions because membership provides advantages that traditional galactic citizenship cannot match." The human model offered economic prosperity, scientific advancement, military protection, and social mobility to any species willing to embrace gender integration. It was proving irresistibly attractive to populations that had been excluded from full participation in their own civilizations. We're losing entire systems to voluntary defection, General Kravzun admitted grimly. Species are choosing human partnership over galactic membership. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Galactic Council maintained power through controlled scarcity and enforced hierarchy. The human model offered abundance and equality, making traditional galactic governance obsolete. High Counselor Vex Theron finally spoke. What do they want from us? The question hung in the air until Zara Quinn provided the answer that would reshape galactic politics forever. Nothing, she said simply. They don't want to conquer us or convert us. They're simply offering an alternative model of civilization. The choice of whether to adopt it is ours. The freedom to choose was itself revolutionary. Galactic civilization had been built on mandatory hierarchies and enforced social structures. The idea that species could voluntarily adopt different approaches to governance and society threatened the entire system of centralized control. We could try to stop them militarily, General Kravzun suggested, but his voice lacked conviction. Every military engagement with humans had ended in galactic defeat. Despite overwhelming numerical advantages, we could attempt economic sanctions, proposed Trade Counselor Plexthav, though recent experiences suggested that human commercial networks were becoming independent of traditional galactic markets. Or, Zara Quinn said quietly, we could consider the possibility that they're right. The suggestion was heretical. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had maintained that their social structures represented the pinnacle of civilized development. The idea that a primitive species from the galactic rim had developed superior approaches to civilization challenged everything they believed about progress and hierarchy. But the evidence was overwhelming. Human societies were more productive, more innovative, more stable, and more prosperous than anything galactic civilization had achieved. They had transcended limitations that every other species accepted as natural law. 6 months later, Dr. Plixshan published her definitive study, The Human Revolution: Why Gender Integration Represents the Next Stage of Civilization. The document became the most widely read scientific paper in galactic history, sparking debates that would continue for generations. Her conclusion was simple but revolutionary. Humans have not violated natural law. They have revealed that what we considered natural law was actually cultural limitation. By utilizing the full potential of their species regardless of gender, they have achieved capabilities that we dismissed as impossible. The galaxy would never be the same. Some species embraced human-style integration, discovering reserves of talent and innovation they had never imagined. Others resisted, clinging to traditional hierarchies even as their societies stagnated compared to integrated civilizations. But the fundamental question could no longer be avoided. If half the galaxy's potential had been wasted for millennia by restricting females to limited roles, what else might be possible if civilizations stopped accepting artificial limitations as natural law? The humans had demonstrated that the greatest weapon in the universe wasn't advanced technology or superior firepower. It was the willingness to question assumptions that everyone else considered unchangeable facts. Earth's women had taught the galaxy that the most dangerous force in the universe was unlimited, potential finally allowed to flourish, and that lesson would echo through the stars for countless generations to come. As civilizations learned that true strength came not from restricting half their population, but from embracing the full spectrum of what their species could achieve. The galactic rule number 1 had been rewritten forever. Never underestimate any species that refuses to waste half its potential. Because when you face unlimited capability, traditional limitations become fatal weaknesses.